Hello students, I am Nidhi Pagalwadi, your science teacher, Sankalp Learning Solutions. In the last class, we learned regarding what is stimulus, what are receptors, and what we can say, what is response, right? And we also briefly discussed regarding the nervous system. Today, we are going to deal in detail regarding the nervous system. So before that, in the ninth standard, you remember, I think you can recall, we learned regarding the nerve cell, which is called as neuron. We also learned regarding its cell structure, how it looks, and how it passes the electrical impulses. So in this chapter, we are going to relearn it in a more better way. Fine, let me share the screen now. Yeah. So as the first one is human nervous system. So we have two types of nervous system, right? The first one is central nervous system. The second one is, we can say, just a minute. Yeah. The second one is peripheral nervous system. Central nervous system means what? Just understand in a common way. The nervous system which is at the center of our body, center. So the center of our body consists of the brain and the spinal cord. Okay. So the nervous system which consists of a brain and spinal cord, it is a central nervous system. Peripheral. What is peripheral? In 10th standard, we learned that when we study regarding the plant cell and animal cell, you might observe this, guys. In the plant cell, the nucleus, just a minute. Yeah, the nucleus was at sites, but in the in the plant cell, the nucleus was at sides of the cell, whereas when you see an animal cell, the nucleus was at the center. So when the nucleus was at sides, we did not say nucleus is at side in a plant cell. We use a word called as periphery. What is periphery? At the sides. Periphery and the sides ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂತ. Okay, so by this you can understand the peripheral nervous system is the nerve which are at the sides. It is called as peripheral nervous system. Fine. So here the peripheral nervous system consists of cranial nerves arising from the brain and spinal nerves arising from the spinal cord. Central nervous system consists of brain and spinal cord. Peripheral nervous system consists of nerves which will arise from the brain to other parts of the body, and then spinal nerves which will arising from the spinal cord, which takes birth from the means takes its origin from the spinal cord, are called as spinal nerves. The nerves which takes their origin from brain are called as cranial nerves. Okay. Okay. So like this, we have again two types of nerves, sensory nerves and motor nerves. Motor nerves and sensory nerves. Sensory nerves are nothing but as you see the stimulus, so those nerves take the signal to your brain. If you are seeing the snake, so the eyes are carrying the image of snake and telling you that the what you are seeing is a snake. So that is called as sensory nerves, which carry the message to the brain. Motor nerves which carry the message from the brain, are called as motor nerves. So this is regarding the types of nerves. So here we have to remember 2 points mainly. We have central nervous system which is called CNS, okay, and peripheral nervous system which is called PNS. CNS and PNS, okay, fine. Just a minute. Fine. So as I said, okay. Then as I said, sensory nerves and motor nerves, and you will be having the effectors. Which are the effectors? These are the muscles and glands which respond to the information from the brain and spinal cord through the motor nerves. For example, if you go to any factories or if you inhale any dust particle, immediately you will sneeze out. Okay, the sneeze is nothing but the nasal muscles, they will try to take those dust particles from your nose. The hair presence in the nose will try to make or remove the dust particle from your nose. So those are those muscles and glands are called as effectors, which carry the information from the brain and give the action through the motor nerves. Okay, next. Next we have, as we were discussing regarding the nervous system, the nervous system comprises of structural and functional units which are called as neurons. Let us see the structure of neurons. So this is a structure of neurons. Here, the dendrite you can see. I'm sorry, just a minute. Fine. Yeah. So this is a dendrite. Okay. Next you can see the nucleus. Next you can see this is a stem. The cell stem is called axon. Okay. And the axon is covered by a sheath called as myelin sheath. Fine. Then in between these axons, we will be having certain gaps which are called node of Ranvier. And axon terminals means the last end points of the axon. And these, inside the axons, you can find a small cells which are called as Schwann cells. Let us study regarding the neurons here. Neurons is a structural and functional unit of nervous system, as we all know. And the cell body, it is called, this whole cell body, it is called as cyton. And the cyton consisting of the nucleus and the cytoplasm, a fluid inside the cell, and it consists of the dendrites. Fine. It has several branches structure. The branchings are called as dendrites. Then it has a very long nerve fiber. What is this? This is nothing but a nerve fiber which is called axon. This axon is protected by a covering or a sheath called as myelin sheath. Okay. And the junction between two neurons is called synapse, which I will show you. Then messages pass through the nerve cell in the form of a chemical and electrical signal. So from one neuron to other neuron, the messages will transfer in the form of a chemicals or a electrical impulses, which is called a nerve impulse. The dendrites or the branchings are there, no? These will receive the signals and sends the signal to the other neurons. Okay, just a minute. Next you have the passage of the nerve impulse. What is the passage of the nerve impulse? Okay. So what is the passage of the nerve impulse? An impulse travels along the neuron pathways. An impulse travels along the neuron pathways. Just a minute. Sorry. Yeah. Impulse travels along from one neuron to another neuron. The electric signal has to pass. So these pathways are formed or are passed in the form of electrical charges across cell membrane. That is the membrane of the neuron or a nerve cell. Right. Then, so ions moving across the membrane cause the impulse to move along the nerve cells. Ions are nothing but the charged particles or the charged substances. When the impulse reaches the end of one neuron, the impulse reaches the synapse. 1 minute. I will show you with the diagram. Then you will understand. Just a minute. Yeah. Here. These are the dendrites. Oh, yeah. These are the dendrites where you will get the signal from the other neuron. And the signals will be passed. How the signals will be passed from one neuron to another neuron? By the charged particles, the ions. Due to the ions concentration gradient, the signals will be passing in the form of an electrical impulse or in the form of a chemical impulse, right? So then when the electrical impulses are forming, they will come here, they will pass through the cell body, and then they will come to the junction between two neurons, which is called as synapse. Okay. Yeah. A synapse is the space between neurons. Let us see how the nerve impulse is transported. Stimulus. Let me take a Let me take a stimulus as a snake. I am seeing a snake. Okay. So receptor here is a eye. Right? Receptor here is a eye. Then dendrite of sensory neuron. Now what happened? The sensory nerves carried a message to the brain, and dendrite of these sensory neurons means the nerve cells of sensory nerves. Sensory nerves are there. Inside the nerves are made up of nerve cells, which are nothing but the neurons. So sensory nerve cells are called sensory neurons. Dendrite of sensory neurons pass that signal to the cell body. From the cell body to the axon, from the axon to the synapse. That is when it will meet the other sensory neuron. That junction is called synapse. From the synapse to dendrite of other neuron. And again cell body of the other neuron. Like this, it passes to various number of neurons. Then it passes to the CNS. That is nothing but central nervous system. From the central nervous system, it passes to dendrite of motor neuron. Here, it passes to dendrite of motor neuron means what? Motor neurons are nothing but which will pass the signal from the brain, not to the brain, from the brain to the environment, to the effectors. So dendrite of motor neuron will take that signal and then it will pass to the cell body, again axon, again then from the axon it passes to the effector. Effector means when I see the snake now, so the reaction is I am going to get up. I am going to get up. That is the effector. Fear, anxiety, that is the effect. So effector means what? Sudden, what we can say, sudden decision I will take that to get up. That is the effect. All right. So here what happens? This is how the nerve impulse passes throughout the human nervous system. This is the nerve impulse pathway. So snake is a stimulus receptor. It passed through all the neurons, sensory neurons. Then at last it comes to the motor neuron. Motor neuron affected means told me that it is a snake. Then I should get up. Then I got up. That is the effect. Right? So this is a nerve impulse pathway. Fine. Just a minute. Okay. Then what is neuromuscular junction? What is this neuromuscular junction? The neuromuscular junction is a synaptic connection between terminal end of a motor nerve and a muscle. For example, just now I said, I saw a snake and I have to get up. Means my leg muscles, my hand muscles, my every muscle will be active and I will stretch and I will get up. So the junction between that nerve, the nerve ending and the muscle, to my every muscle of my body which I have to react now. For example, I want to get up means my leg muscles has to work now. So I will get up. So the junction or the meeting point of, you can say, the end of a motor nerve and a muscle, as you can see here. Right. As you can see, this is the end and this is a muscle, right? So end and the muscle. That junction is called as neuromuscular junction. It is a site of transmission of action potential from the nerve to the muscle. Means that impulse or a signal is passed to my muscle to get up and go away from this place. Okay, that is called nerve muscular muscle junction where they will meet. Okay, fine. Okay, so this is regarding the neuro signal pathway or nerve impulse pathway which occurs in our body. In the next session, we are going to learn the structure of the brain, which is the main part of central nervous system. Until that, take care. Have a nice day.